What's good, folks? I thought I'd make a super introductory video on Git. It seems to be a ton of confusion around Git, so I thought I'd, say a couple things about it, what it is, what languages you can use it for, what problems it fixes. Do I need to memorize every Git command? This is a big one I see, all the time. Like, how do I memorize 100 commands? And is it super important for me to do so? What commands should I memorize? And yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll demo a couple of those important commands too. So as far as what is Git, Git, if you ask a technical person in the software space, they'll tell you it's a version controlling system. But that isn't very helpful as far as explaining what it does at its core. But what is Git? Git helps you save code. Git lets you control S your code, and in the hypothetical situation that you were to break something after making some changes, it gives you a saving point to roll back your repo to, or your code to. So I make changes. I spend 2 days making changes, and it completely, tanks a tool. Then I can roll back to 2 days ago, so that I don't have to, surgically try to fix the problem. I can just, roll it back and maybe redevelop the problem or abandon it, do whatever is necessary. It also gives you visibility into who's making changes. It enables developers to work together. There's a lot of niceties to it, but the core value that Git brings is lets you save your code and gives you multiple saving points to kind of step back to if necessary. I think cool. So something I've seen online a ton is Git space and then Python, Git Java, Git whatever it might be. So what languages can Git be used for? Git is language agnostic. It's essentially like Microsoft Word. Like what, or Google Docs. What languages can I use with Microsoft Word? Can I use it for Japanese? Can I use it for Spanish? Can I use it? It doesn't matter, right? These tools are for any language. It doesn't matter if I use Spanish on Google Docs, it works just as well. So same with Git. It's language agnostic. You can use Git to pull down code from, a variety of different, the most common one being GitHub. We'll just say GitHub for the rest of this video to avoid confusion. So you can use it to pull any sort of repo down from GitHub. Here's a quick demo. So I'll show you what cloning one second. I'll show you what cloning a open source project looks like. So let's give you. So here's Airflow. This one's actually going to work. So let's go ahead and copy the SSH path. So we're going to show you what cloning. Oh, 1 second before I do that to drive the point home. Also, shout out to the contributors to this amazing project. So languages wise. This is Python. There's some TypeScript in there. There's a couple different languages in there, but this is predominantly a Python project. And what is Airflow? Just, brief comment on that. Airflow is an orchestration tool used predominantly by data engineers to schedule workflows. So you need something done every day at 2 p.m. Airflow is a great solution for that. That's a bit of an aside. But this is a Python repo. So how do I clone a Python repo? That's actually going to my testing folder, and then let's name it something else. So what are we doing here? We're doing git clone, which is git pull down the code, and then we pass it the path that we pulled from GitHub, and this just renames it to something else because I have a couple of versions in here. So cool, look, it's cloning into it's cloning into the folder. Perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and cancel this because I don't want another huge project on my computer. So I'll terminate this. You're going to have to trust me that this executes the full way through. And then now let's check out a different open source project, which is Chromium. And what is Chromium? Chromium is the basis for Google Chrome. think it's used in VS Code. It's a huge building block for the internet. It's an open source package. Not package. It's an open source browser, web browser. And let's see what languages it's predominantly written in. So it looks like it's mostly C++. Again, shout out to these contributors too, who are all volunteers most likely, kind of just improving this project for the sake of the community. So we grab that URL here, and does it differ from the Python project at all? I think it's gonna look exactly the same. So with the difference being the path that we actually pass it. So Chromium, 4 or whatever it might be. I'm not gonna wait for this to finish because it's a huge project. It's a ton of data that we have to clone down. So you're gonna have to trust me that this works the full way through. But what we're trying to drive home here is that cloning a Python project is done essentially identically to cloning a C++ project, and this is going to be true for C++, Java, whatever it might be. Cool. So 1 second. So do what problems does Git fix? So we kind of showed the language agnostic part of Git. So what problems does Git fix? And I kind of spoke to this already. But Git enables us to save stuff. Git enables us to save stuff. Let's say hypothetically that you weren't using Git, which I didn't do for like a couple of weeks when I started my learning how to develop a ton of years back. I had a bunch of different hard drives, and every couple of days I'd copy the entire application onto the hard drive because I'd been burned a couple times. I'd been developing, something broke, I couldn't figure out what the problem was, and then I'd have to spend 2 weeks trying to fix what I had broken. So I had learned to copy the entire application every couple of days, just in case that did happen. I could take a step back and start working from the working version again. That is the alternative. It's having a bunch of hard drives, right? And then if I have a bunch of code on the hard drives, how do I, collaborate with other individuals? So these are the core issues that it really helps you fix. In branching, let's say hypothetically you wanted to test out some stuff, rather than changing the core code. And then rolling back entirely, you can create a duplicate, which Git enables you to do, which is super low effort. It might not be immediately obvious like what Git does or where the value is, but I swear you'll over time you'll wrap your head around like all the niceties, all the amazing value that it brings to kind of the table. And so what commands do I need to memorize? I get this often. 1 second. I get this often, especially with people that are new to Git. They'll see like the Git help screen, and they'll be like, "Do I need to memorize all of these? Do I need to memorize grep commands? Do I need to memorize everything from top to bottom?" The answer is no. There's a couple commands that you use on your day-to-day basis. So let's make a directory test repo 2. So making a directory test repo 2, changing directory into it, and then let's initialize a new Git repo. So this lets us use all of our Git commands in this new folder. Perfect. And you can see that we're on the master branch. Let's actually create a new branch. So this is going to be, you don't ever want to push directly to master. That's just bad practice. Imagine pushing like bad code directly to production and having that deployed automatically. That's not the best idea. Your colleagues are going to hate you if you're doing that. So we're going to create a new branch that we'll push our changes to, and then once those changes are up, we'll create a pull request, ask our team to review the changes that we did do. So we'll do git checkout -b. If you miss the B, it's an attempt to just check out the testing branch. The -b tells Git you want to create the branch. Sorry for the dog in the background. So Now we're on the new branch. Let's make a random file. Let's make a random file here. So touch is just going to make an empty file. It is a command that you have on Mac machines. I don't think this exists on Windows machines. We can actually see what files are in there. We can see that the file that we created manually is there, and we can use the git add command. This tells Git that there's a file that you want to include in version control. So there's also the git add all command, which is helpful when you have a ton of files that you want to add. But sometimes there's a chance that the git add all command is going to add a couple files that you don't want version controlled, whether it's secrets, whatever it might be. You can throw those in a git ignore file. Cool. We did git add all too, so git commit. The git add all should have done nothing since there are no other files. So let's go over this command. So committing is like creating a saving point. So I'm going to git commit all, and then hyphen message, and then we're going to add a message. These messages are fairly important to being able to identify what our commits actually do. So add something informative. There are standards out there for this, like commit is in. But before jumping into that, it might be helpful to kind of understand what Git is by itself. So commit all, perfect. Git's telling us that it's recorded the changes. And the step after this is typically to push it up to your remote repo. I haven't set up a remote repo in GitHub for this project, so I'm gonna skip that step. But this would be like git push. This isn't gonna work if I hit enter. Git push origin master. Actually, excuse me. Git push origin testing branch. If I push to master, that's again deploying directly to production. People would hate you. Ideally, master's protected from pushing directly to it, but so this would push to your branch, and then you would go into GitHub and create a pull request. We'll cover that in a different day. But so the commands that we used here were git add, git commit, and then git push. And that should essentially get you through your day to day. And if there's anything that you forgot, just Google it. Like Google's at our disposal. There's no issue with Googling. So it kind of covers everything. Number one, reminder being that Git is language agnostic. It doesn't care about what kind of repo you're pulling down. Number two, you don't have to memorize all of the Git commands. There's maybe one or two that you'll learn, from muscle memory, which is going to be like your git adds, your git commits, your git push, maybe. And if you're struggling with them, there's user interfaces you can install. Do a quick Google search. There's a bunch of different user interfaces you can install on top of Git so you can make this button clicking rather than terminal execution. And let's see. Is there anything else? No, I think that kind of covers it all as far as like introductory Git stuff. Let me know if I missed anything or I misspoke at all. Chances are I did. Everybody makes mistakes. But I hope this helps. Good luck, folks.